I am using the Nikon D850 along with the 70-200. You'll see that I also have the SB600 flash on the top of my camera with the Gary Fong, which I don't even know why I carry it. I do it out of habit just in case I need it. Even though this is a portrait shoot, I don't know why, it's just on there. But I did use it like 3 times when we got kind of more towards the rocks, but I do not like using flash unless it's coming in at an angle or bouncing off a reflector or something anyway. And I did not like the results I got with it, so I actually ended up not really using those pictures that I took. We are at Looking Glass Falls in Brevard, North Carolina, which is close to Asheville, and it has become one of my favorite locations to shoot at. Question of the day, what's your favorite location to shoot at, or your favorite type of location? Put it down in the description box because I love hearing what everyone has to say. So basically, the first thing in my thought process is I need to get the model into the light. I wanted to do natural light portraits. I think they are beautiful. I like natural light better than artificial light. So basically, I'm putting the model in pockets of light. As you see, shadows keep going across her face, so I have to continually readjust. Now, the reason I wanted to have the model facing into the sunlight also is because if you look at the background, if you look at the waterfalls in this video, you see how blown out the waterfall is? I wanted the background to match the light on the model, so natural light is also perfect for this, shooting in the direction the natural light is shining. Now you see right here where the model's face is just gorgeous into the light. Anytime she moves, like I said, it's a pocket of light. Anytime she moves, the shadow is going to go across her face. So we have to be very particular on how we pose with this type of finding the pockets of light. Okay, so once we get her in position, like I said, we're going to continually readjust as the light moves, but once we get her into position, we are going to have to put our camera settings in. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to expose for the skin. Now, it seems easier said than done. And the reason I say that is because whether you're in matrix metering, whether you're in spot metering, your camera is trying to take the photo to mid-gray. So when you are moving your exposure meter to the center, that's telling you what mid-gray is. If the model has darker skin, you may want to go a little bit, as the camera would say, underexposed, so you don't overexpose that model. If the model has lighter skin, you may actually want to expose a little bit more, because basically, like I said, your camera's trying to turn that little spot or that scene mid-gray, and we don't actually always want that. Now, what this means is you might not have a histogram go from end to end. You need to look at the photo. You need to know your equipment. You need to make sure that you understand what that skin should look like in that situation. Oh, I also want to say, so I am all the way to the right, obviously, and it is deeper there. So I could not use my microphone, and so I did not use my microphone in any of this shoot because I did not want to ruin my equipment. So that's why I ended up having to do this voiceover. As you can see, the settings for these images, ISO 64, I like to use 200 millimeters when I'm using my 70-200, but I think it was too deep for me to actually back up with that where I was, or it just was a hazard, so I couldn't. F2.8, 400th of a second. Now, your ISO, the best ISO is actually not always the lowest ISO your camera will go. Cameras have like a base ISO, and you actually have to check that out in your manual and stuff to see what the base ISO, base doesn't always mean the lowest. So basically, to get the most dynamic range of colors, you will always want to go with your base ISO. Sorry, that's just a little side tip. So this image was actually starred as a 1, and probably, I don't know why, but it's probably compositional. Here we go. This is one that I really liked right here as a 5. One thing that I would have changed probably if we had had more time, the light was changing so fast, is I would have compositionally gotten this part right here to stop right about here. I think that would have actually looked the best. Now also, when we're looking at pockets of light, it means you're going to get a very dramatic image because that means that there's going to be a lot of lights and darks. I absolutely love how it just came together to spotlight like this area, and then there's just highlights, you know, everywhere else, and then it just kind of goes dark. That just thrills me. I don't really know why. I guess because I just love dramatic portraiture. So the beginning of the shoot, I find, is, for this particular one, the best part of the shoot because we had that beautiful light to work with. And later on, you'll see that I have to switch. I can't use that. The pockets of light, we have to move up further because it's gotten too dark back there. Let's just look at a few other images here that I really, really loved. See, I love how the water actually reflects and shines up on her body. It just creates something different. I tried a lot of different little compositions with her and different and varying backgrounds with the same basic, you know, background. She is just such a gorgeous model that you could pretty much take her anywhere. But this was her idea. She wanted to do a waterfall shoot, so that's what we ended up with. Let's see, since we have actually moved, so as the light was moving, we're actually moving further towards the waterfall, and you see the switch here, you see the settings change as well. You'll see where I'm standing for this particular image right here, and I keep having to move around, trying to get a better angle, and it's just so hard. I'm wearing my water shoes. I don't know if you can see them when I'm walking, but I'm trying really hard to get better angles of her in the situation that I'm in, and I'm so short too, which really sucks. So I wanted to put her down further so that I could get more of a downward angle on her with the water showing. But as you can see, the settings are changing. ISO 500 is what I went to. I'm not sure why I went to 500th of a second. I couldn't tell you. Might have had something to do with the water. I have no idea, but that's where we ended up. Plus the light was moving so fast, maybe I just wasn't thinking, oh, maybe I need to change my shutter speed. But that's where I am here. But yeah, so once you get your model into the light, then you will want to look at the location, look at the background. Obviously, we pre-chose the location. I knew where the sun was going to be, but you want to look critically at the background. If you want leading lines, if you want some sort of something compositionally, that's when you do that. A lot of people do location first, or background first. And what this requires you to do is it requires you to bring a lot of extra light that may not be as good as natural light. Number one. Number two, may be too heavy. I'm trying to kind of gear my channel towards women, so we may not even be strong enough to carry all the stuff that we need sometimes. So the first thing you really want to do is look at the lighting conditions. Once you get past the lighting conditions, you look at the background and the best angle. Once you get your composition set and your angle done, that's when you can move on to other things like posing, evoking emotion, and technically getting your camera settings in. You want to keep finessing your poses to make sure that they're attractive to the specific model. You know, you can have a go-to pose that you like, that you start out with, but each person's body type is different. Each person's face is different. You're going to want to angle that person into or away from the light in the best way possible to make it more flattering or attractive to them if it's a client, or if it's, you know, an artistic vision. You're of course going to want to pose into the light or away from the light to fulfill your artistic vision. I like to stop and show my client what the images are looking like on the back of the camera, because that way they can actually adjust their pose. They can see what they look like and they say, oh, I don't like that, or oh, I need to change this, or whatever. It's just, you know, when you look in the mirror, you know what looks good and what doesn't to you. Communication is so important with your clients and your models, in being able to get them to look the most beautiful they've ever looked, or do whatever they need to do to fulfill your vision or to fulfill the vision, their own vision. You have to be able to work with that. So you'll see a lot of conversation going on between me and my clients just to make sure that we're all on the same page the whole time. As you can see, the conditions were very difficult for me to work in as I'm trying to get up on rocks and move around and get the angles that I want, and wishing that I just had someone that could just carry me and and push me up and pull me down or whatever, just so that I can get what I wanted. When you have expensive equipment, you know you don't want to fall into the waterfall and get it wet. You'll also notice that I have a flash on the top of my camera and a Gary Fong. I have that just in case I needed it, and I did actually take a few shots with my flash on. Let me see when we move behind this rock. So what I did was I tried to bounce the flash off the rock at an angle, but it wasn't working out to what I wanted, and it kept changing the actual changing the white balance of the pictures. And once I start with something, I like to stay with that. So that way I can have a really, really cohesive, consistent set or session. So now that we are behind the rock, I want to show you guys what these pictures look like compared. Now, I mean, she's still a beautiful girl. They're still beautiful pictures. But I want to show you what they look like compared to the pictures that we got before. Okay, so basically I have now had to move all the way up. Like I said, she is still a very beautiful girl, but the pictures are not as stunning because there's less drama now that I've had to move up, and I've had to completely boost my ISO up. Like I said, I did attempt to use flash for some of these, but I was not liking what I was getting. And so this shows you the extreme difference. Now look at here. This is with her eyes down. Now the light is, of course, above now, not coming in at more of an angle. So what I do is have the model angle their face up into the light so that the eyes are shown more. It's much more attractive to the person too, instead of having darker eyes. So even when I'm taking from more of a straight on angle, I've got the model with the head tilted up just a little bit more, so that way her face goes into the light and the eyes are much more visible. And of course you can look at my settings as we go through the set. These are starred, they're not in order actually. Now we've gone up to ISO 2000. I have moved more kind of towards the left, gotten a higher angle, wanting to get this shadow here to chisel into her face a little bit. But you see, as we've had to raise the ISO and as we've had to move, and those pockets of light are gone now from her face. So basically, this is really dark, and I am raising the ISO up just to be able to get that. You can see that the background has also gotten more blown out, or more, since we're raising the ISO, we're raising we're raising the lightness of the whole picture. So that's why the whole background is getting lighter and there's less drama in the picture. Also, the light, I mean, you can tell it's kind of there. It's not as pretty as it was when we were over here. So look at her skin tone here, and then we go to the skin tone here. It's just much warmer, and it's just much more attractive going into it that way. And as you see in the behind the scenes, I didn't use a scrim or anything like that. I didn't really have, I had my husband there to try and protect my equipment that was like on the shore, and also to try and film the behind the scenes. But my assistant, I don't remember what happened that day, but he could not come. So, and basically I didn't have anyone there to like hold any sort of diffuser or scrim up, which I might have done. I might have just decided, oh, I like this better. So this is what I ended up with, and I am thrilled with the results. So basically you decide on your light, then you get your composition, your background, all of that figured out. Then I kind of go back and forth. I'll put some like little settings in. I'll say, hey, move here, don't pose, just get right here. I'll put some settings in. Then I will get them into a pose, and then I'll refine my settings, and then I'll refine the pose. And the reason I do that and kind of do a little back and forth is because if you get your model all posed up, especially in light like this, first of all, the model's going to want to move. Second of all, the light's going to move. So it's just kind of like a back and forth that you have to do in that type of situation. These are from the beginning of the shoot. The model, this was her idea. This is where she wanted the photos done. But she was kind of shy because she didn't expect so many people to be at the waterfall, even though this is a pretty popular waterfall. It's Looking Glass Falls in Brevard, North Carolina, right near Asheville. But so she kept her overalls on, and she kind of hid behind this rock, which I loved because the rock created sort of a cool background to have too, just to have some variety in the pictures. So we started out kind of on the side here, and then we actually moved more towards the center, and then she took her overalls off, and then, you know, she felt more comfortable. But easing someone into something is also very important. So as you can see the progression here, we go from the rock to the middle of the water, where the people that are back there, they're not even paying attention anyway. They're just hanging out with their friends, their families, or whatever. But you never know when someone might be self-conscious. I know I would probably be self-conscious, but thank God I'm not like a model or anything, or, you know, wanting this type of thing. So as we progressed, I think the light actually, we caught, when she took her overalls off, we caught the best light as she actually took the overalls off, because it goes from this, which is absolutely gorgeous, to this type of background and light. A friend of mine thought, he called it wizardry lighting. He was like, what did you use? How did you get that? And I was like, oh, it's just natural light. You know, you just get what you get, which I love. So I'm trying to see from the beginning to, I want to see how long this took, how much time we actually had. Okay, so 5:33. We were actually supposed to start at 5, but there were like direction issues, GPS issues, phone issues. So things started out. So the best light we had from 5:33 up until 5:51. So I would say, oh, actually, no, we had a little bit more here, right about here. And that's when the light decided to go bye-bye. So we 5:33 to 5:59. So 30 minutes of, well, about 25 minutes of the best light that we could possibly hope for. And then we went into some of this other stuff, which I still think is beautiful because she's a beautiful person. But I would say the bulk of my favorites came out during that light, direct sunlight. I also really love candids, so I told her not to worry about posing and just, you know, sit there for a little bit while I got my settings in. And that was really cool because, I don't know, I just felt like I was able to get her a little more naturally. She's just a beautiful person. This is one of my favorites in the whole set compositionally. I just absolutely love how her hair is shaping and framing her face here, and it goes along with her, the form of her legs that we created. So pretty. Well guys, that's about all today. Hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, let me know. So if you like the video, please let me know if you think I can improve in my videos. I know my intro is kind of long, but I'm trying to appeal to the kind of artsier person. I don't know, but if it's too long or they're not good, just let me know. I can take the feedback. And you know, I'm still new to YouTube. I'm not that great at it. I just kind of want to be involved in a community with photographers and share a lot of the stuff I've learned with people. So yeah, subscribe if you found this helpful, and I will see you guys next time.